What's going on, guys? It's that time. Bonafide Hustler here.
Rake and Profit in the house.
Jimmy from the green room.
All right, so what is going on? It is Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, and welcome to the Green Room Hangout. We have a fantastic guest here today that's from the Green Room. I have hustled with him 3 times in real life, so I can't wait to talk to him again and share some of the insight with you guys out there in the feed. Anyways, my name is the Bonafide Hustler. I resell stuff I find from eBay, Amazon, garage sales, estate sales. I keep saying that. Garage sales, estate sales, flea markets, pawn shops, swap meets, and big box stores. And I put it on places like eBay, Amazon, consignment stores, my antique booth, and Craigslist. That's what I do. I'm one of the co-owners of the Green Room University. It's the second link below. I'll pass it over to Steve, Rake and Profit.
Thank you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Green Room show. Excited to have Jimmy on the show tonight. Should be a lot of fun having a member on. But my name's Steve Rakin, 29 from Connecticut. I sell on eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, and Shopify. A few other places as well. I source mostly from thrift stores and garage sales. And like I said, I'm excited for this show because we got a member on. What's going on, man? You got a Chicago Cubs shirt on.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago originally. Moved to Houston about 10 years ago. So after this, I'm going to be watching the Cubs get their World Series rings. Got that DVR up. As far as hustling goes, I'm on eBay, Amazon. I do a little bit of Craigslist. I source OfferUp too. Auctions occasionally, and pawn shops. Do it all.
Okay, so that is Jimmy from the Green Room. If you're in the Green Room, you know you've probably seen this post, especially on Saturdays and Sundays when he brings back awesome stuff and awesome pictures from garage sales. So today we're going to be discussing how Jimmy attacks eBay in such a big city like Houston, Texas, which is a gigantic city. And before the show was even live, he asked me a question. We're going to ask this question to the feed real quick. So this is a live show, okay? And if you look to the right, there is a feed that is going, it's scrolling. So Jimmy, you have a question for the feed, and you asked me this before the show. It's something about Goodwills in Houston. So go ahead and ask Rakin real quick.
The question is how many Goodwills are in Houston? We'll go with the official number, I guess, that's on the Houston Goodwill website, which stretches from all the way west, Sealy, Conroe, then south to Galveston. So how many Goodwills are in the greater Houston area?
Wow. So is this question geared? You want me to answer this? Just take a wild guess?
You take a guess, and the people in the feed take a guess, Rakin.
Okay. I'm going to say, I don't know, 20?
Okay, I guess 24. So Shane Johnson from the feed, 59. Miners Treasures, Tim is saying 75.
Wow, that's
30 from Aaron Kluge from the Green Room. What's up? Who else we got? 14, Carlos Marufo. I've seen him in the feed before. Michael Cook says 25. And
no one's got
it. 35. Brandon English, 45. Sam Kirker, 34. Z Squared, 44. Adele Irving, 22. Okay, time for the reveal. Jimmy, what is the official number of how many Goodwills are in Houston, Texas?
So according to the website, there are 64 Goodwills in Houston.
What? 64? How big is Houston? Like how?
But that Houston stretches out. But even if you just went in the Beltway area, which stretches, like I'm on the south end of the Beltway, and the north is about 30 minutes, 45 minutes drive from here. If you just did that area, there's easily 40 to 50 stores in just that circumference.
It's like the new McDonald's.
Yeah, it's insane. 64. Right. Brandon English is saying wow in the feed.
Is that the most per square footage of a state? Like
it's a lot, right?
I don't know. That's a lot. It's a lot. And they might include some computer work stores or whatever, but I went by I just looked at Goodwill's website today and was trying to get a number. Yeah, I'm on the website.
Wow. So that is an incredible amount of Goodwills, and I've lived in Houston, Texas, but when I lived there, it was through high school, so I wasn't a hustler and all that kind of stuff. I can only imagine with 64 just Goodwills, the opportunity that's at hand with eBay, because a lot of times with Goodwill stuff, that's a lot of eBay stuff that you can be putting in listing. Do you have savers over there, Jimmy, in Houston as well?
Village, I think there's 2 of them that I know of. I mean, quality-wise, they're not as good as the Austin ones, but we do have a couple in here.
Okay. What about a St. Vincent or a Habitat for Humanity kind of thing?
Yeah, we went to the St. Vincent one. I think I only know of one. I might be mistaken, but the one we went into in the Bel Air area, there's one. Habitat for Humanity, there's 2 that I know of, but I think there might be more than 2, but there's 2 that I visit that are decent.
Okay. So that's a lot of thrift possibilities, and that's a lot of eBay possibilities. So anyway, we've figured out that Jimmy is now from Houston, Texas. I already knew that, but I want to make sure you guys understand that he's in a big city, right? And so let me ask you this. Like, how do you feel Houston stacks up to places like, let's say, Austin or Dallas or San Antonio, or even big cities like LA or San Diego? Like, what do you think? Is Houston condensed? Is it super spread out? What do you think?
Houston's really spread out, but there are areas you can go to, in an hour, hit up easily, 6, 7 thrift stores and some pawn shops and concentrate in a specific area. I think Houston and Austin compare pretty equivalent to each other as far as the quality of the stores goes. I think Austin has a little bit better sporting goods, and I have been to LA before, and I didn't have too good luck at the LA thrift, but the LA garage sales were the best garage sales I've ever been to.
LA garage sales are the best garage sales you've ever been to.
Yeah, I went there. Every single one had like Legos and high quality sporting goods. I mean, I went on vacation there, and I was there for a weekend, and I paid for my parents' tickets, my tickets, rental car from one day of garage sale.
That's crazy.
And we were only out for maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
Where else can you do that, right?
That's like unbelievable, yeah.
Besides robbing a bank.
It's insane.
There you go, Rakin. You're right, robbing a bank. Hey, so Rakin, you're in the Northeast, and isn't the other day? I know in the green room you posted a picture that was 80 degrees and all that kind of stuff in Connecticut, correct?
Yeah, right.
That's crazy. Like, it was raining like cats and dogs apparently in Houston and Austin like yesterday. But you have an 80-degree day. You finally get to trump us, dude. And we're not talking about the Donald Trump, but you get to trump us with something better than what we have. But Rakin, does that mean that estate sales and garage sales are starting to come up in Connecticut?
Well, last weekend I went on to Yard Sale Treasure Map, and it was cold. It must have been like 50. Like the weather's like fluctuating and swinging back and forth like crazy lately. It should be warm right now, but it just keeps going back and forth. But I pulled up the Yard Sale Treasure Map, which is an app that you can use to find garage sales. Jimmy, do you use that?
Yeah, Yard Sale Treasure Map.
And I had like 6 within like a 20-mile radius. So nobody had really started. I did stop at a random one, and it was just like a bunch of broken chairs. So nothing yet, but hopefully soon, because I'm sick and tired of watching your videos, Bonafide, of you finding all these amazing items, and I can't wait.
I would probably just drive by a garage sale if I saw just a bunch of broken chairs outside, but that's just me.
Hey, man, when you're locked in with freaking 2 feet of snow all winter and you see a garage sale with broken chairs, you go up to it because it's like the most fun thing ever.
Oh, boy. Anyway, yeah, I'm not moving to Connecticut ever. So let's talk about now how eBay can change someone's life, Jimmy, because you do work full-time. And full-time, let's discuss that real quick. Is that 40 hours? Is that 60 hours? Like, what is this?
40 hours.
Okay, cool. So you work full-time, and then ever since I've known you, or ever since the first time that you've been in the hustling spaceship, or even the second time, or the time that I went to Houston and I went into your spaceship and you chauffeured me around, thank you very much. I kind of think it's hilarious, but you totally do this thing that I think a lot of people should be doing, which is you hustle the lunch period kind of thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I get a full hour for lunch, and one of my favorite thrift stores is the one you mentioned off of Westheimer, which is only about 10 minutes or so from my workplace. So if there's nothing going on, I'll hit it up during the lunch hour and just eat in the car or whatever on the way, and use my lunch hour to hustle. That's
amazing. So has the lunch hour ever paid off ridiculously?
Yes, several times. The competition is usually less during that hour than when I go in the evenings after work. So if you're lucky enough to go when they're still putting stuff out for the bids, then you can really, really do well.
Do you think if you were not, is it because you hit some home runs here and there and you start realizing, man, if I actually eat lunch with all my colleagues, then I might be costing myself some money? Does that go through your head?
If you allow that to happen, then you're going to be like killing yourself every time you think about lunch hour that you're not going out. So I kind of look at it as just like, topping on top of the cake, essentially, just like it's extra that I could do that.
Okay.
I can't depend on it. Otherwise, it'd be from the job that I should be doing, essentially. Because there's sometimes that I do have to work through lunch. So.
Oh, okay. I was like, the job you should be doing, like eating a sandwich or something. Like that seems like. Anyway. Okay. So you're talking about like, sometimes you work through lunch and you have to be there. Okay, I get it.
Right.
So let's talk about something real quick. Describe a typical day for us. And do you hustle sometimes during the week after your full-time job?
Yeah. I'm 8 to 5, basically Monday through Friday, and it depends on how backlogged my inventory is, whether I go thrifting or not during the course of the week. If my inventory is kind of low or I feel like I need to grab more, then I will go about 3 times a week is kind of my high. And I have a standard route that I typically take on my way back home where I add basically an hour or two to my route back home by stopping at these thrift stores. So let's say I do go out a thrifting route. So 8 to 5 is my job, and then from about 5 to about 7 would be thrifting. And in that 2 hours, I can hit up 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 or 7 thrift stores.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
So, Reagan, did you hear that? In 2 hours, on the way back from work, he can hit 6 to 7 thrift stores. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's amazing that.
And I go into the thrift stores enough to know whether they've turned over the inventory or not. So if I go in and I see these shelves have the same exact items that they had before, I'll just browse through there real quick and then get out of there. So I'm not spending, too much time digging through. But yeah, so 5 to 7 or so, and then come home and then I try to list the smalls or the items that are easy to list right then and there. And then before bed is when I do the packing, and that's every night. Usually it takes about 30 minutes or so.
You do the packing for things that sell the next day, or you do the packing for everything that you have? That way you're not reacting.
No, packing for only things that sold that day, and then I ship it out the following morning. Either I'll drop it off myself. So the other cool thing is one of the post offices that I go to opens a little bit early, so it opens before my shift starts, so I can go to that post office real quick, drop off my stuff, and go into work without being late. So
that's amazing.
And then FedEx stuff. My parents live close by. I have them drop it off if it's a FedEx item.
There you go. So that's a typical kind of day or 2 days. So you kind of figure out how he's doing it, and it's completely doable. Even a big city like Houston, when you get off of work, I mean, are the streets completely jam-packed with traffic, or you have these kind of thrift store route down to where you're minimalize the traffic kind of thing?
So that's the other thing. Occasionally, if there's like the road that I'm taking right now is under construction, so it can take sometimes up to 45 minutes to an hour to get back home on that road. So sticking in traffic versus going to a couple Goodwills on the home is not adding that much additional time to my commute, basically. So if I see traffic is really backed up, I'll just hit up the thrift stores, and that'll utilize my time that way.
Wow. I'm really surprised with like a lot of people that go, I think there's 2 things. If you're a hustler, I think there are 2 things that you guys should do either before or after work, right? Show up to work, or show up to work at a decent time, of course. But before you go home, if you get stuck in traffic, you find yourself in traffic for an hour or 2 or whatever, go to a gym or go thrifting, like Jimmy's saying. Like, try to figure out opportunities to where you're not sitting in a car, maybe listening to a podcast. Like, go somewhere and get active, because a lot of people I know here in Austin, like the traffic is getting nuts here in this town. This town is growing too fast. But I know a lot of people, the gyms get filled up from like 5 to 6:30 because a lot of people don't want to be on the roads. But it's a way to stay fit. It's a way to also be more productive. And it's one of those things, I guess, when you're working full time, you have to consider these kind of things. People that are entrepreneurs or like they work from home or whatever, like, we work out whenever, but like there's a lot of things you can do instead of being in traffic. I hate traffic. It's one of my worst pet peeves in the entire world. And I know Houston traffic is not very friendly, right, Jimmy?
No, it's not. You can take a good nap, though, if you want to.
If you don't want your car to move and everyone honk behind you. So let's talk about, when did you start reselling, Jimmy? Was it 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
No, it's more like 5 or 6 years ago. Basically what happened is my sister lives on the East Coast, and she's really into hitting thrift shops to find stuff that she can remake. What's the word I want to use? Upcycle. So she has a Value Village next to her house, and I went here into their Value Village, and I'd never been in a thrift store before. And one of the first things I saw was a Joseph A. Banks shirt which I had just bought for a wedding that I was going to like a month ago. I had paid something like $40 or so for the Joseph Bank
So
shirt. It was sitting there for,
you bought something full price, but then you saw it as on a discount at a Goodwill
yeah, it was
store
like
or Value Village.
$5.
Okay.
And
Okay.
first thought was like, I paid way too much for this shirt. But then my second thought was, what if I bought this shirt and I sold it on eBay? Was like my immediate next thought. I did the really idiotic thing of buying a couple of Joseph A. Banks shirts and throwing it up on eBay, and then nobody bid on it. So I started looking into what clothing does sell. Googling all that, I found a guy's blog out of Hawaii that was selling, similar to what Rakin was doing, selling clothing and shoes. And before Rakin's ebook, he had a little ebook.
Someone beat you, Rakin. Someone beat you to the
Brands
ebook
Lido.
game.
Can't always be first.
He had an ebook that I bought that had like, you know, the common stuff we know, the polos, the Robert Grahams or whatever. And so I would go to thrift stores and all I'd do is look for polos, Robert Grahams, and yeah, it started from there. And then through the course of doing more research, I found other people's channels like Yourself Notified and Diggers. They're still around. Redneck Picker, I don't think he's putting stuff out anymore. But basically, I tried to research as much as I could and learn additional niches, and it kind of just took off from there.
Now, you and I have met in real life 3 times over. How important is it in real life to actually hustle with other hustlers? It doesn't have to be me or Rakin, but like, let me ask you, do you learn a lot when you go hustling with other people?
Definitely. I've hustled with you 3 times. I've hustled with people from the green room before. I mean, initially the thought is like, hey, they're your competition. But the reality is that, you know, that competition is not going to be around you every time you go out thrifting, and you basically get to see how they look at things, and you can implement that into your hustling and kind of get an eye for things that you weren't looking at initially, or systems and processes that you weren't implementing.
Yeah.
Osmosis to become a better hustler.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of how I feel with that. I mean, like, that's the reason why I always say, like, I'm no better than anybody else. And the reason why, if anybody comes to Austin and wants to hustle with me, it doesn't matter if you're from the green room or if you're just a subscriber to my channel, or maybe you're a subscriber of Rakin's channel and he refers you to me and you're in Austin. It doesn't really matter. Like, I'm going to learn something, or at least I'm going to teach and feel good about it. But you can learn a lot just from hustling with people. It doesn't matter who it is. Even if they're not as good as you, like, you might realize they're picking up some stuff that you never would pick up, but you never knew to pick up, right? Rakin, you've done enough. You've crossed the country, left to right, not up to down, but left to right. And I mean, you've hustled and met up with so many people, right?
Yeah, it's invaluable. I can't say it. I like one time that really stands out the most to me was, I think it was like 3 years ago, and I think it was our second green room meetup. I think it was 3 years ago, and I remember I think it was the first time I had met Jameson and a lot of those guys, and we went into like a bunch of thrift stores, and like these guys were just killing it and like picking up all these items that I never knew of, and like that was before everybody knew about like pawn shops and retail arbitrage, and it wasn't like all over the place. And you know, that helped me out a lot. Like that one day probably put like $20,000 in my pocket, because when I came home, it just set a fire.
Yeah. Because I remember those. I remember that meetup, because we would go to the Goodwill. We would all kind of pile up outside, and as soon as the doors opened, like, it was Resell Rabbit and Jameson would run to the very back and run to electronics, and they would go crazy. It was like a Tasmanian devil.
We didn't really know much about the electronics in the FBA hustle game back then.
I mean, they essentially had taught us, like, at least the process of when you get to the electronics section, like what to look for. I mean, Dugan, or should I say Resell Rabbit, was hustling these little like AT&T antenna looking things. Man, going crazy with those things, flipping them for crazy money. And I still think he does them now, but it's just unbelievable. Like Jimmy said, like when you meet with people that are like-minded, you know, they're not your competition. You're going to learn a lot from them, and they would have to do everything the same way that you do in your life in order to be at that thrift store maybe an hour before you or 30 minutes before you, to affect your money in your pocketbook. It's just, the chances are just, especially in a place like Houston, I don't see it, you know? I just don't see it. But anyway, Jimmy, let's talk about now Houston being a really large city. In regards to eBay, what are all the ways to obtain inventory for eBay that you've done in Houston, Texas?
So we talked about the thrift stores. The garage sales here are year-round pretty much. I mean, in the December, February months, it slows down a little bit, but The garage sales are here. We have a lot of pawn shops. I didn't look up the number of pawn shops, but I'm really willing to bet we're kind of on the high end compared to other cities too.
There's
As far as
probably like
pawn shops are
300
concerned.
or something. It's
Only
unbelievable.
300.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, I remember when we went, when Chris was down here, there was one corner we went to in Bel Air that had like 4, basically one on each corner.
I don't even have 4 within like 20 miles.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I mean, some are better than others, but yeah. So pawn shops. We have quite a few flea markets here too, that can be good. Then the auctions I've hit occasionally. I know there's some guys in the green room that do that more than I do. What am I missing? OfferUp and Craigslist, obviously.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are a garage sale animal. We'll get to that here in a second. But yeah, so Houston's a big city, and even in a small city, you can get amazing opportunities for eBay. But in a really large city, sometimes it's overwhelming. But you know, if you have your routes down, or you know how to really use Yard Sale Treasure Map to your advantage, and if you just know about neighborhoods, right, Jimmy? So like, when you're dealing with garage sales and Yard Sale Treasure Map in Houston with like what, hundreds, if not thousands of neighborhoods, I mean, it takes experience to know where the good neighborhoods are, right?
It does, but there's some cheats you can use. So first thing you do is like I look up community sales, and you pop it into your Google Maps to try to do your route. And usually on Google Maps right away, it'll tell you if there's a golf course in the area. Golf course plus community sale in Houston usually equals money.
Okay.
So that's one thing you can do. Another thing that I've done is you can pop in an address that you get from Yard Sale Treasure Map or Craigslist, and you can use a website like Zillow to get an idea of what the house value looks like in that neighborhood. If you're
Man,
not
you are going
experienced
straight
with
CSI on these garage sales, dude.
it.
Oh
If
my
you don't know
gosh.
the area, that's something that you could do to get an idea, because sometimes you can't tell based on the general area. Because if you're in a place like Bel Air, for example, there's houses in Bel Air that are over $1 million, and there's some that are,
Yeah, you're right.
well below, 200,000 below. So
let me ask you this: are you in front of like 8 screens and you're doing like the whole Minority Report thing with your hands and like swiping the garage sales off here, and you're like putting this one on your list? Dude, you're going like you're really using like psychology and some funny stuff in there, man.
You got to use whatever edge you can, because unless you got pictures, you can't see what the stuff's going to be until you get there. So the more information you have on the house, the better.
Man, you're like one step away from knocking on the person's door, being like, "Hey, when did you
I'm
buy
like
this house?
buying out the entire garage sale."
Gosh, man, that's cool though that you look that deep into it. That gives you a good edge, and so you could confidently say that this could be an edge that anybody can implement, maybe in a town. But this is how you kind of do it, right?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Do you ever color code your balloons on Yard Sale Treasure Map ever?
I do, but I do a little differently than what you do. I try to color code based on my level of
intuition and hunches, right?
So
Yeah,
I'll start plotting stuff out like that, regardless of the area. Then I'll try to get an idea of where the greed is essentially what I use to point out the ones that I think are going to be home runs.
Okay.
And then
cool.
the more greed I see in an area, that's the area that I'll go to.
Okay. So Reagan's nodding his head. Reagan, you ever get that hunch inside, like whenever there's no snow in Connecticut, which might be maybe 5 days out of the year, but do you ever get that hunch, like and I've seen your garage sale videos or yard selling videos before, and you have epic hauls. Like, I've known this, but it doesn't happen very often because of all the weather stuff. But do you ever get that hunch? Like, do you get the hunch in the car? Or do you get the hunch before the car when you're just researching it?
It really is. If there's a lot of garage sales, let me just say it this way. If there's a lot of garage sales, and I've been to garage sales all over the country, if there's a lot of them, 99% of the chance you're going to kill it. The problem over here is a lot of times there's not a ton of them, even when it's nice out. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it would be right when I set out my plan for where I'm going to go. I could typically tell if it's going to be a good day or not. If there's a lot, I always do well. If there's not many, sometimes I score and get lucky.
Do you ever sleep in?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm not like you where I go to garage sales every single time. So, but I would like to be 100% transparent. I would like to make it a goal that if it's nice out and there's a good amount of them, to always go, because like you've always said, Chris, right? If it's a nice day and there's a lot of garage sales, and Jimmy, I'm sure you'd agree, you're literally taking money out of your pocket, because it's not uncommon to do $500 to $1,000 within 3 hours. It's not. To some people who are new, it might sound crazy, right, Jimmy? Like, some people might be thinking that's BS. But really, like, For you, Jimmy, is it uncommon for something like that to have a couple $100 profit or more?
On any given weekend, no, especially in the summer months. That's the expectation.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the rare when you
Jimmy
go
and
out
I were
there
talking behind the scenes. Jimmy, we were talking on Facebook chat before the show ever went live, and you were saying that if you're a beginner or intermediate with some sort of a brain, we didn't say that part, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you have the ability to think and put things together, what was the number that you threw out there just with eBay, like a year, like comfortably, like just if you tried, what do you think you could make a year just from garage sales? What was it?
I think in Houston, so long as you have a cell phone and you're somewhat proficient at eBay, like you can literally be checking stuff while you're at the garage sale. I think you could easily make 30K as like a starting novice level hustler, just doing garage sales only on Saturdays.
See, isn't that crazy? Like that's the part that is the total truth of the entire matter. Is like if you deal with just one avenue eBay, one avenue garage sales Saturday in a big town, you know, he's comfortably saying he's got a lot of experience under his belt too. So do I. But 30K is that's not an outlandish number whatsoever. So, but you have to have some systems and you have to have your strategies down. And we're going to get to that further into the show. I do want to reflect on one comment that was right here. I think it was from John Melling. And John Melling says, hey, Bonafide, I love the show. So the reason why I like this comment is because, hey, if you like the content and you love the show and you're having a fun time, maybe you're talking to people in the feed or you're getting some good insight into, you know, eBay and how you can really use it to your advantage to make some good money, hit the like button, all right? That's what Raykin says. Smash your keyboard, smash your like button, and you know, let's definitely I'll look back at this show on the analytics, and hopefully this show is going to be cruising over 100 likes pretty quick. But definitely hit the like button for good content, and especially because we have an awesome green roomer here on the Hangout. Okay, so let's talk about let's get back to garage sales real quick because I'm really passionate about garage sales, as are you. And that was the first time that we met. We went garage selling, right?
Right.
And you had found me from my channel. I think, no, this was when the green room had first been created, I want to say. Or maybe it was pre-green room, but either way, like you were there.
It was initially after the green room was created.
Okay, so right after the green room was created, Jimmy and comes to Austin and we go hustling and we have a great day. And this is way back in Bonafide Hustler video history, but so let's talk about 3 simple tips for effective garage sailing day. Like if you could whittle it down to 3 tips, what do you think those would be?
I think the first and most obvious one is planning the route, and I'll give you some tips on that. What I kind of look for is quantity in quality areas. So in Houston, the best overall quantity is always going to be in church sales typically. And it's not uncommon for church sales in Houston. The larger mega churches have close to 150 or 200 people when the doors open at these garage sales.
What?
And they're still
really?
So that gives you an idea how good these garage sales can be. And then what I typically look for is community sales that are close to those church sales. So I'll do the church sale and then hit up some community sales after. I try to stay away from the one-off sale that's off in one part of town that there's nothing else close to, even though it might look like a quality sale. Because again, you're trying to hit up as many sales as you can within that golden hour that you always talk about.
Yep.
Thing I would say is whatever route you plan, always add an additional amount to that list. So if you think you can hit 10 sales in that golden hour, add an additional 10, because every time that I do a list, I always end up hitting all those sales and wondering where to go to next. So you want to be in a position where there's always going to be leftover sales on your list. That's the way you know you hit as many as possibly you can.
Cool. All right.
What else did I have? Oh, okay. So after the golden hour is concerned, I have a saying that I always say in my head, which is beggars can't be choosers. So after the golden hour is concerned, on my way home, I'm hitting up as many sales as I can. At that period, you're just trying to get to see as many sales as possible. So at that time, I personally don't skip any sales. I always can see whatever's there and see if I can, pick up any items that, initially people might have passed on. And that has led to some actually pretty nice profits. And a lot of times it's stuff that was overpriced initially that after the golden hour is over, they're willing to make a good deal with you on.
3 amazing tips. Let me ask you, you sound like the kind, you strike me as the kind of guy who after the golden hour, you're cruising down the road and then you see that sales sign and it's just a random sign on the side of the road. It's like garage sale here, and you slam on your brakes and you turn that 90-degree, you turn your car 90 degrees and you head down there. Have you ever done that before?
I did that last week actually. I went to this, and it was like a random community sale, and they actually had a Bose system and an Onkyo receiver, and he had priced it at like $150 or whatever. And it's obviously he'd been trying to sell it all day because his wife was a little perturbed that the price was that high. So I made an offer of $50 and kind of held strong.
Wait, how much?
Bucks.
Oh, geez.
For an Onkyo receiver and a Bose, it was a Bose Acoustim S5 Series 3.
Shoot. Whoa.
But the Onkyo receiver already sold like yesterday or the day before for $250.
Gosh, man.
Yeah.
So, but I assume you tested the speakers too before you sold the receiver, or you have a receiver at home that you can do it.
He had the system playing as I walked up to the garage sale. So.
Even better, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So that came from just a random turn. You're saying at a community sale? That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was like 11 or somewhere around there.
So this is super outside of golden hour then, and you're scoring these big things. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That is cool. So so that we talked about those simple tips for effective garage selling. In regards to eBay and thrift stores, let's say you're not working, right? How important is it to have a route when you're not working and you're not going home and you're going through those same 6 or 7 thrift stores? But how important is it to have a route and listen to your hunches or to feel hunches? Because everyone has those gold mine type thrift stores that they love, right?
Yeah, when you're part-time, but I mean, this applies to full-time people as well. Your time is like one of your most valuable, if not the most valuable asset you have. So hitting up as many thrift stores as you can your route is imperative because you're only getting that little amount of time to hit stuff up. So yeah, I definitely try to hit like at least 2 or 3 sales or thrift stores when I'm in a specific area on my route. So.
Okay. Murray Zuckerman's got a question live here in the feed saying, Jimmy, what is your vehicle for yard sales?
I have a Honda CR-V, which bad mileage, but plenty of space.
Yeah, plenty of space in that thing. I've been in it before. Have you ever like filled that thing up to the brim and just like had to come back?
Yes. Oh no, I haven't had to come back, but I filled it to the brim before.
Okay, cool. Raken, you have that white car. What is it? A Elantra or something like that?
It's a Honda Sonata.
Sonata. You ever fill that thing to the brim?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh, that's right. You're the person who would just like throw bikes in there and like not even protect your seats, right? Is that you?
Yeah, man. I made some mistakes that I wish that I didn't do. But you want to know what? Those bikes, man. You saw those bikes, man. They paid for it. They paid for the damage.
Good bikes. They pay for the black seats in the back.
Somebody called me soccer mom in the feed. It's true.
Yeah, the Soccer Mom minivan is the most versatile LOL. It really is. You know, I used to work for a pretty big company back in the day, and I had a minivan, and I would every weekend that would come around, like I would just take all my point of sale items out, and I was basically a consultant / sales manager guy. But I would take all that stuff out, and I would flatten the seats all the way down to the ground to where you could probably fit another car inside that thing. And then I would just go to pawn shops and try to stack in 3 to 6 bikes in that thing. Like that was my hustle a long time ago. But to that comment right there, like a Soccer Mom minivan, whatever, those things are awesome. Like straight awesome. I can't tell you how many times that thing has saved my butt.
The Accord before, and with the Accord, I did have to turn down certain items because I just didn't have the space for it. So
yeah, I mean that's the reality of it. I think one of the best hustler vehicles, but they don't produce this anymore. Honestly, is this one? They don't produce it. I know it's out of production, but a Honda Element. I used to own one of those back in the day. A Honda Element is ridiculous in the amount of
doors open like that on there, right? It's not.
Oh, they have suicide doors. Plus, you can take the seats out in the back. You can do all, and the interior is all plastic too. So like if things scratch or whatever, it's not like the end of the world. It's such an awesome car. But anyway, so that they don't make them anymore. But if you're lucky enough to find one that has low miles, an absolute great hustler vehicle is a Honda Element. So let's talk now about, so we talked about traffic in the big city. It doesn't affect your hustle too much. If you had to whittle it down to 3 proven ways to master hustling at a thrift store, what do you think it would come down to?
I think the most important thing is that you knowledge up as much as possible. So
how do you do that?
For me, that involves getting my hands on as much material as I can. So I do watch a lot of YouTube channels. I'll throw some out there, obviously Bonafides and Raken's. I watch Golden Finger Picker is great. The Urban Diggers are solid. Who else did I have on my list? The Crazy Picker Life is one that I listen to pretty frequently.
Yep.
It's another good one. So, I mean, as much as information as you can get out there, and then also networking with individuals and even doing ride-alongs with them. Get as much knowledge as you can and train your eyes as much as you can. What else?
Has a ride-along ever been scary for you, ever? Like, is it weird never meeting people? No?
I always talk to people behind the scenes, or I've seen them at thrift stores enough before where there's a level of comfort. I mean, I don't do random meetups. It's people that I've known long enough where I'm comfortable enough with them.
Random ride-alongs.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. So it hasn't been strange.
So oh yeah, go ahead. What's the third one you said?
What was the first one? Second one, was research. I researched further into past success. So example of that would be like if you find a Tubi bag and you've sold that before, then investigate what other luggage items sell for around the same price, and learn like what made that Tubi bag so expensive. You know, the materials, the build, and use that same kind of qualities towards other bags.
Okay. So expand when you find something of quality, expand into that realm to find out other brands of that quality. Okay.
Basically, like learn that niche.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
And try to master it as much as possible. The next thing that I've done in the last year or so is really try to learn the areas that people don't go into at thrift stores. So I see like not a lot of people go into the knickknacks at the thrift stores that I go into. So I try to learn as much as I can about figurines, about cookie jars, stuff like that people don't seem to touch at thrift stores, and you know, you have less competition in those areas, and there's plenty of profit to be made there where your competition is far less.
Okay, so with that one thing that you said in the knickknack section, you have something to show the crowd.
Oh, that's right, I do. Yeah. So this was from a garage sale 2 weeks ago. So it was like a community sale. There's a bunch of stuff out there, like electronics and like sporting goods that most people are hitting up. And I saw this one sitting out in the corner.
Let's see if Rakin knows what Rakin and the people in the feed. Don't tell them what it is. What is that, Rakin?
Can you see it? Yeah.
That's Pluto.
No, like what? We know what it is. Like, what is it?
That's a cookie jar. It looks like.
Okay. Oh,
So this is a Disney cookie jar. I got it for $3. Usually these can sell anywhere from like $40 to $80 depending on how rare it is.
Oh wow!
Yeah, pretty cool.
I didn't know
right?
those went for that much money.
Yeah.
Cookie jar video needed, Rakin.
Look up the Cookie Monster cookie jar. I think that one's a pretty expensive.
The wheels are turning.
Oh man, cookie jar. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's a really good tip. I like that tip. Number 3, try to find profitable items in the places of the thrift store where not a lot of people go to. Right.
Right.
That's really good. I like that one a lot. And you're right. The knick-knacky section for someone like myself, or I'm always like running to the electronics, the sporting goods, the shoes, the clothing. But you're right. The knick-knacky part, I'm kind of like, I don't know, you know. But and
you're never going to see a knick-knack priced with like here it's like pink tags that are like the boutique tags.
Right.
You're never going to see knick-knacks priced at like $50. I mean, it's always going to be priced.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool. So that's a really good tip. Thank you for showing that cookie jar. We're going to kind of skip over the pawn shop part because, well, we'll go to it real quick. We'll just do it really quickly. You hustle pawn shops, yes or no? Yes.
Right? I mean, if it's on my route, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So how would a person that is good at garage sales and really good at thrift stores make their way into even hustling a pawn shop? Because a lot of people are really, kind of scared of pawn shops. But like, what made you go into pawn shops, and are they as tough as everyone says?
I think I went because actually you showed me the first pawn shop I've been to, which is that I think when we went in Austin, we went to one. Initial thing is like you have this perception in your mind of, a dingy place filled with crime, or where people that stole stuff, that's where they dump their things. I mean, that's what the mentality is. Kind of overcoming that. So if you just step into a pawn shop without any intention to buy, just kind of get a feel for what it's like, I think that will help a lot of people. But what I've come to learn is to be made in pawn shops, definitely. I mean, they have stuff that's been sitting there for a long time that they're looking to dump. So, I mean, the pawn shops that I go into, I typically look for that one random shelf that's like off in the corner that's got just random electronics and junk on there that obviously they're not and that seems to be where the profit is. Or they've got it sitting in random totes. So that's what I typically have looked to hit up and work with.
So it's definitely not daunting, and in my opinion, the quality is much higher in a pawn shop almost every time. Like you're going to be surrounded by a lot of quality items, right?
Yeah, typically. I mean, you have to be careful. Sometimes they don't have all the accessories, so you don't know if it's going to fully work or not. But you can't be afraid to walk away from a deal if it doesn't feel right. So
that's true. So yeah, and then pawn shops are up against all kinds of like quotas and daily quotas, weekly quotas. So they want your money, you know, but they also are a pretty knowledgeable place that does research before they put things out on the glass shelves or whatever. So they kind of know what they kind of want out of it. But the problem is the inflow and outflow of people isn't enough sometimes to bring them that amount. So you have to talk them down, or they find themselves going half off. You know, you can say, hey, will you roll the tax in? You can do all kinds of crazy negotiation with pawn shops. But they're not really scary at all. And a lot of them are just, you know, they're manned by everyday people like you and other person beside you. You know, like they're just normal people in there that have just been trained to negotiate. That's pretty much it. But I find is if you know the person at the pawn shop and you get to, you know, really build a relationship and joke around with them, then they start to really like you a lot, and they start to invite you in the back room. Sometimes they give you, sometimes they'll call you up for appraisals. I've got that before, you know, on remote control car kind of stuff. And I thought that was kind of interesting at that point. So, you know, you help them with inventory, and then sometimes they want something from you. So I remember on a green room hangout, not a hangout, but something. I remember Rakin was there with his camera, and we had a bunch of people in this pawn shop. And then next thing you know, I'm behind the counter fixing a bicycle for him.
I remember that. It fell over. The bike fell over.
Well, it was just wrong. I was like, it's not going to sell in the way that they had. They didn't do something right. And I needed a 5mm wrench. And I was like, give me a 5mm. Let me help you guys out real quick. And it was like sub 1 minute, right? And I had the thing back to normal. And they were like, oh, man, thanks a lot. But I was like, in the condition that you had it in, it's just not going to sell. Someone's going to think it's broken or messed up. So, but you have to do things for pawn shops, and they will do things for you. So anyways, let's talk to you about your eBay systems, Jimmy. Having systems in an eBay business is super, super important, and it has to be very manageable, especially if you have a full-time job. So what are your 3 tips into streamlining your eBay business that seems to work for you, you know, to attain this really good money at the end of the year from eBay?
Sure. The first thing that I do is I try to buy items that I have a good idea of what the supply and demand look like. So items that flip over. I don't want items that are just stale in my inventory for months on end. Just about everything, I check the completed items, not just sold, but completed, because completed will show you items that have sold and not sold, so you get a better idea of if stuff is selling regularly or not. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you got to learn, and I'm getting better at this, especially this year. I've been trying. As soon as I bring stuff home, I'm trying to list it right away. I don't want stuff sitting around and just, you know, accumulating in a dead pile. It's not making you any money. It's killing your time for whatever future, you know, thrifting and whatever you can be doing.
So when items sit around, Jimmy, like, what do you feel? Like, what goes on in your head? Do you feel stressed? Do you feel not productive? Do you feel like I shouldn't have bought that? Like, what goes on in your head if you have too many items?
It's a good question.
Actual cash sitting there that, like, literally it's like unchecked checks sitting there. Cashing.
That's interesting. I never heard anybody say that before, but it's so true. It is essentially, right? It's a check, but a check's nothing until it comes into your bank.
Interesting. Do you ever find yourself stressed? Do you ever find yourself like, I'm never buying that item again, or that was dumb, like, why did I purchase it?
I do, but I mean, that's the whole thing of when you buy an item initially, if you put the research into it and you didn't pay that much, then, you know, like, so if something doesn't sell, it's like, oh, well, you know, I only spent $5 or $10 or whatever on it. No big what. Versus, you know, I rarely spend over $20 unless I'm sure that the item's going to sell.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Jimmy. Do you you got to answer this with 100% honesty, though. Do you have a death pile? Yes or no?
I do. I have a death pile of VCRs at the moment. So
I've never met one reseller who doesn't have a death pile at some point.
Yeah, I have a death pile of about 12 VCRs in my garage right now.
So you going to stop buying them, or are you going to list them up? What's been holding you back from getting those up? Is it just the pure size and the time it takes to package it up and everything?
Yeah, and that's the debate at Amazon, or just, you know, bring them into a pawn shop or whatever. And, you know, pawn shops aren't going to take them, but, you know, day and see what you can get for them. You know.
Right.
So you must be like
I had
really
a much bigger death pile.
You must not be spending anything for these
I had a
things,
much
right?
bigger death pile around Christmas.
You must not. You must be spending like $1 or $2 on these VCRs, and therefore you have 12, and you're just not. You're buying them for nothing, right?
Right. It's not. I mean, if it was something I spent $20 on, for sure it'd be listed by now.
Okay. So you think you have about 12 in your death pile. I want to go out to the feed right now. Let's be honest, because Rakin is talking honesty here. Rakin, you know what the question I'm going to shoot out to the feed is, right? Everyone's got a death pile.
How many items do
you have in your death pile? No, be
And
honest. Like, it's
clarify
okay.
though. Clarify what a death pile is, Jimmy, if you could.
Yeah. Well, before Christmas, I had about 4 or 5 garbage bags full of clothes. So
that's nothing new in the clothing business.
Yeah, I hate listing clothes. You know, it's something I started with, but I've grown to hate it. But what I did with that death pile was I picked up the items that I knew would sell for about $40 or more. So like the Robert Grant shirts came out, and some of the North Face stuff came out. But everything else I just donated or gave away to people just to get rid of it. Yeah, death piles are items that you have that you purchased with the intention to sell that, you know, found its way to the back of the closet or somewhere in your garage that you never listed and growing.
Yeah, I love that term death pile, and I gotta say that we didn't come up with it, but Nicole State. Shout out to Nicole State. That's where I heard that term for really the first time. So that is an awesome term.
Hey, it's not who coined it; it's who trademarked it, and we beat her. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we did not trademark. Anyway, disregard what Rakin said. Shout out to Nicole State from the Green Room and from Jimmy in Houston.
Yeah, they're awesome over there.
Yep, that's a person right there that's really crushing women's clothing, you know, and really using a lot of things to help it as well, like Instagram and eBay sales and all kinds of stuff. So check out Nicole State's channel, amazing channel. Plus, she's definitely into the Portland culture. I want to say she's Portland, yep, which is cool too. Good vlogs, good channel. Go check it out. So now let's go to number 15 on this question, because you have a secret kind of haul that you're going to show here on the Green Room Hangout, which is cool. So let's kind of blaze through this question here. How important is it like to stack coupons or deal? How important is deal stacking or coupons or like half off days or 30% off, you know, punch cards from Savers or Value Village? How important is this when you go into every thrift store? Do you think like, oh, I got to bring my cards with me, or I'm not buying this item until it's X amount of % off? What goes on through your head?
I mean, for me, a good deal is a good deal without the coupon, and the coupon just adds to whatever I'm getting. There are some rare occasions where a coupon will make or break a difference on a decision. But in Houston, in my experience, the thrift stores, the Goodwill stores don't have many sales. I mean, they do have some now, like dollar days or whatever for clothing that's been sitting for a while. But I've never really gotten much off, even like the 30% items that have been sitting for a while. I really never got too much or found items that qualify for that. The Salvation Armies here do have like 50% off sales.
Mm-hmm.
So occasionally that will help my buying decision, but I don't days around the sale or the coupon.
So if the deal's good, regardless of the day, regardless of the coupon, you're buying it regardless. Yep.
Right. But one thing I do is if I see people that these stores that you go to, you see the same faces frequently. Our Value Villages around here usually pass around 50% coupons and flyers and stuff like that. And a lot of times at the Value Village will have more than one coupon in hand. It's not abnormal for people to ask each other if they have that coupon. So,
like people inside the store, you mean?
Yeah, it's like they sent out flyers pretty frequently to people in the neighborhood for 50% off at Value Village. It's not uncommon for somebody to be like, "Hey, did you get that 50% coupon? Here you go."
Oh, cool.
Or you can ask somebody if they've got one. So,
you know, you could just like bring it back a little bit and just like break into everyone's mailbox and just take the coupon. You know that, right? Anyway, there's your cheddar tip for the day right there. I'm just kidding. So that's pretty interesting. So people within the store, not the people that work there. Oh, and sometimes the people that work there will hook you up too, right? Have you ever seen that happen before?
Yeah, I've got hookups at some stores before. From you're in there regular enough, they usually hook you up.
Yeah, like there's Jimmy, and he comes in and out within 4 minutes. There he is, and there he goes. You ever done a same, in corporate life when you do consulting or whatever, sometimes we have these calls, we call them same song calls, where you go into an account and then you're back into the car and the same song is still playing on the radio. So you're going in super fast. But anyway, so like maybe you have same song hustles or same song kind of like thrift store. I've definitely had them before.
Go to some thrift stores and their inventory is so stale, and you're like, you're never going to find anything. And then you go in there and it's just like, holy crap, they changed the whole store over. And there's stuff all over the place.
I've seen that before happen. There's definitely some good Goodwills in Austin that do that on it seems like multi-hour basis. Like you can go multiple times in a day and stuff is changing. So that's what's cool. I know someone in town that actually just stays by the bins. Like they just wait till the little flappy doors open and the new little bins come to like next to the book section, and she stays there for like hours on end and she's just picking these bins. And we're not talking about the bins that are like with weight or anything like that. We're talking about bins that go into a fresh Goodwill with, tags, and there's prices already on the items.
A lot of people do that.
It's insane, man. I was sat there and I'm like, dang, man, like there she is again, and there she is again, same Goodwill. And
I mean, if you've got time, it's profitable, but I just, I don't want to sit there for 6 hours, but people do it. They do. Yeah. It's profitable.
I know she's getting good stuff. I know for a fact. I've seen her carts before, and I'm like, holy crap.
So let me ask you, Chris. Since she's standing there, obviously she's like really serious. Like when that thing comes out, is she attacking it and throwing everything in her cart? Like, do you have a chance against this woman, or is she just like, she'll just throw Jimmy out of the way? And
well, she knows who I am, and so that's cool. And I've always been like, hey, if you ever want to be on a show or whatever, it'd be cool. Because she's a female, right?
That's cool.
We don't have any females on the show. It'd be kind of nice to have a female. And I see her all the time. So like you have to build really good rapport with resellers in your town, or else you're gonna grow to hate each other.
I agree.
So, and that's not fun. So I know there's a couple resellers that I absolutely do not like in this town. But they just do really, really weird things that I just don't agree with. Like they park their cars in weird ways. It like obstructs like half of the street. And I'm like, that's not right.
I was just going to ask.
Do that.
That is my number one. That's the number one pet peeve is when I go to a garage sale and I take my time finding a spot that's out of the way. And as I'm walking up, somebody just like parks right in front of the driveway. And there's like a fire hydrant right there. And they park in front of it too.
Yeah, like I don't get it, man. And I know I'm just like, dude, it's that guy again. Like, why is he doing these kind of things? Anyway, so
what about the resellers who come up when you're looking at a bike, Chris, and take it from under your nose? That picture that we have of you that we posted in the green room was hilarious.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that great that day either.
Yeah, to be fair, Chris was under the weather, and the bike did have issues, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But there's
a lot of stuff that goes on through my head while I'm making a decision on a bike, and one of those things is if I just find a flaw, like a lock is on the bike, which is a really huge flaw, then I kind of try to play that against the person there, right? I want to get that off as a discount from the price. Does that make sense?
But this dude just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he came up from behind me. He was like, how much for the bike? And the lady was like, well, he's making a decision on it. And I was the one making the decision. And he was like, the bike is $50. And he goes, here's 60. And she's like, she looks at me, she goes, I got to sell it. I was like, oh my God. I know. But, some things aren't meant to be. And then after that, I found a really awesome bike.
The cheddar gods did bless you, though, soon after.
Yes. That bike,
like you said in your video, dude, they literally had the cheddar above you, just grading it on top of you.
I know. Yeah, you watched that video. That's interesting. I just launched that last night at midnight, but you know what I'm talking about. All right. So now, Jimmy, let's go into something like kind of, and by the way, before we get to this, because Jimmy's going to show a really cool hat haul. And Jimmy, do you mind going like 5 minutes over on this show? Raykin, do you guys mind going like 5 minutes over? Do you care?
No problem.
Let's do it, man.
Okay, because there's this hat haul. And before we see the hat haul, who's down to see a hat haul? Hit the like button. Hit the like button. It's funny, Raykin. We ask people, how big is your death pile? Everyone goes crazy in the feed. We ask them to hit the like button, and it's like takes forever, and it takes so slow to get to it. It's like 100 likes.
We've got 167 people watching live, and only 66 likes. That's approximately about 100 people. They're just enjoying it. They're just soaking it all up and not hitting that like button. So, Jimmy, what do they have to do, man?
What's the word you guys use? Smush? Smash.
Smush.
Smush the smash.
You had that one chance, man. You know what Eminem has a one chance to do it all. He says smush.
Like, smush that like for that. I love it. When you smash it so many times, it's like smushed.
Yep, it's smushed and it doesn't work anymore. We're up to 8. I see Jimmy brought it to 83. Look at this thing climb. See, guys? Admins ask you to like smash it, you don't do anything. But Jimmy asks you to smash it or smush it, all of a sudden it goes up and it goes super high. But anyways, thanks guys, honestly, for being there and liking the content, making really good comments and stuff. Yeah. So okay, so we got a hat haul coming around, and I love hats. Like, hats are great, and I don't even know what, I didn't preview any of this, so this is like, hopefully none of this is obscene hats or anything. But I love hats. Are any of these vintage sports hats, Jimmy? Yes or no?
They're all. I think they're all vintage.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I want to see everything that you got. Let's see it, man.
So
first of all,
these were my community.
Yeah, where'd you find this stuff? First of all,
these were for a community sale last week. I found them kind of towards the middle part of the day. They were in a tote for 25 cents a piece.
What?
This is the first one I saw on top.
Sweet.
You can see.
So when you're showing talk, and when you're talk when you're
so
like,
this one is from the Final Four, the NCAA Final Four from 1990. It says Denver, Colorado on it, and it is a snapback. What I typically look for is a brand in there that is like this. Sports Specialties.
oh man, that's good.
That's a good brand to look for. So here's some other ones that were in there. Here's a Houston specific one, Houston Rockets. Oh,
Beautiful.
Houston Rockets.
That's good for 25 cents, man. Like, I could move that kind of stuff all day. Yeah, Zine.
Yeah, I haven't got to the good ones yet.
Yep, 25 cents a piece. He hasn't got to the good ones. Oh, okay, cool. Those are pretty decent already to me. I like them. I could move
this
those.
one. That one was Logan 7. Here, let me pull out some of the good ones. So this is one that's tags.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Start talking and talk and show that hat.
I've got it locked down. It'll.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers script. Tampa Bay isn't so hot of a team, but still, it's a really nice hat. And the cardboard's still in here.
Oh my gosh, how'd you find that?
What's that worth?
I don't know. Buccaneers aren't so hot of a team. I mean, since it's new with the tags, hopefully around 50, but I don't think it'll sell for less than 25.
Yeah, about that. I was gonna guess 30. Like, that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, we'll see. Here's a cool one. Houston Rockets script.
Jeez, nice.
Hello.
This one has some dirt on it. I tried cleaning off. There's some stains on this one, so I just threw this one up on auction. It's already got like 20 watchers on it, up like crazy. So, let's see what else we got in here.
Yeah, you guys in the feed, if you guys see a hat that you like, man, hit that like button, smush it, squish it.
Here's one that's worth some good money. I think this one could sell close to $50. It's Los Angeles Rams.
Oh wow.
A
lot of script. I see a lot of script hats. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, here's a different one. Let me pull this one out. This is like that corduroy material, but take a look at this one.
Oh man,
that is classy.
There's a Michigan State from 1988.
It's like a corduroy.
Jeez. Yeah,
there's
awesome.
There's a Colts one. This guy was a collector.
Where'd you get all these again?
Broncos. This is at one garage sale.
How much you pay
garage
each?
Sale, 25 cents a piece, he said.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Here's a cool one.
Dude, that's like the Hall of all
The
halls.
Hornets.
Oh, that's super sick.
What was your reaction, man, when you walk up and you see all these things?
This one's a real sweat. I saw the first one. I was like, holy crap! I might have to buy this whole tote. But there's a couple of those that were way too dirty.
Oh my gosh!
Now here's my favorite one of the whole bunch. Houston Oilers.
Oh, cool.
This team no longer Houston that moved to where are they now? Baltimore?
I don't even know.
Or Tennessee. I'm sorry, Tennessee. They moved to Tennessee.
Yeah, you're right.
And then the Texans replaced them. But Oilers have a huge following still in Houston. So.
Dang, man.
That is.
Yeah, and there's still. I'm not going through that, but there's still another on the table here.
I gotta say, my favorite one out of all those is the Charlotte Hornets corduroy. That one's super cool, man.
Yeah, I don't think. But when I was looking at it, I don't think that one sells. But this one's the one. This one I have up for $50 right now. There's a bunch of watchers on it. So
nice.
This one, I think this one and the Oilers one would probably be the highest profitable.
So it was like 25 cents each. What'd you pay in total for the whole thing? I'm sorry if you're
so 25 cents times about 20 hats. So what does that come out to? About $4?
$5.
Is that right?
Are you serious? That is just
Oh,
insane.
Yeah,
$5.
and this one had to sell for 50. So
You overpaid, man.
Yeah, sure he did.
see, would have been a jerk to like negotiate even further down to be like, oh, would you take 10 for that?
Then the next guy comes up. Here's 20. Crap.
Oh my, yeah, dude, that would suck.
And he's riding the bike that he sniped from Chris.
And the lock is gone and everything's all perfect. Okay, so there are a couple questions but we never got to on this outline, but we're getting to the very end of the show. Before we say goodbye to Jimmy, I gotta say it was a fantastic show. I love hustling with Jimmy. I think he's gonna be down in Austin sometime in the next month or two. So look forward to seeing him on a ride-along video. Let's talk about housekeeping real quick. And we got to 101 likes, so that is awesome. Shane Johnson in the feed is saying that's like $300 in profit plus for the hats so far that I've seen. Crazy. So he's talking about that right there. Yep. That's pretty sweet. Henry S. says, you should see my hats. You know, hats are a big collectible type thing. You know, so people collect CDs, they collect DVDs and random stuff and steel boxes. And a lot of people that collect that vintage, you know, stuff, like College Picker's one of them. He's got a crazy amount of hats. He has a crazy amount of, what is that, satin jackets and everything. Oh, yeah. Crazy amounts of that stuff. I mean, he just picks it up. You got a good eye, Jimmy. Out there real quick, Chris? Yeah, go for it, man. Throw the tip out.
I see some people asking about shipping for the hats. So you can get like 6x6 boxes from Walmart for pretty cheap. You can ship it there. But eBay has that coupon deal where you can get like free packing supplies from eBay.
Yeah.
For those 6x6 boxes or 6x6x8 boxes, and they're perfect for hats, and use that coupon to essentially get those boxes for free from eBay. So.
Do you ever put them in a poly bag or do you put bubble wrap around them? How do you do that stuff?
I poly bag them and throw them in the 6x6 box.
Okay, cool. Is it 6x6x8 or 6x6x6?
6x6x6, I think. Usually you can fold them up and fit them in there.
Right. And he was talking about a coupon that should be $50 if you have an eBay store. Every quarter you get a $50 coupon that's a one-time use only. And it just came out. The expiration it just came out like last week. I used
mine. It's good for packing tape in those small boxes what I use them for.
Oh yeah. It's good for a lot of things actually. But it's a one-time use thing. You can't combine it with anything else. Like it has to be used once. So, all right. So amazing show so far. Rakin, we have some housekeeping. Let us up, man.
Sure. So obviously, you know, hit the like button if you guys enjoyed it. You know, we like bringing new guests on and new fresh content and different people because each person has their own story and their own tips. So Jimmy, first of all, man, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. If you guys have any suggestions for people that you want us to bring on for upcoming green room shows, you know, just send us a message. You can send us a message at support@greenroomuniversity.com or leave a comment. We're always listening to suggestions and ways to make these videos better. Also, be sure to get our free book in the comment section as well. In the description area, 100 Amazing Items to Resell. It's a really, really good book. And we have an updated version that's going to be coming out soon. So if you do download that, you'll be on our email list and we'll send you the updated one as well. It's just a little prettier. If you guys are a Green Room member and you're watching, tickets are available for our Green Room event. That's greenroomuniversity.com/event. So be sure to check that out. We have some hotel deals, cheaper rates and everything for people who are coming. And I think that's about it. We'll have another show next week, next Wednesday on my channel. And we don't have a guest lined up just yet, but we have a couple people that we're talking to. So we'll have another great show for you guys. But yeah, it was fun having you guys on. Chris, you want to end the show?
Yeah. So guys, thanks a lot for watching this Green Room Hangout. And of course, if you guys are in the Green Room, you know who Jimmy is. Hit him up. Tell him you did a good job or whatever you want to tell him. But look forward to his post on, you know, usually every weekend. He always shows the coolest stuff that he finds from his garage sales and things. And he always does some really cool updates. You updated something that you had like back in November. I remember you were like, oh, just sold for this. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought I saw that in November. And you go back to your post and you like updated it or something like that. But anyway,
it's good to know, cool. Like when you list stuff like, you know, when it actually sells. So
yeah. No, that's really good. But yeah, I've always wanted to get Jimmy on a show. I think he's got a fantastic eye. He's a really dedicated hustler, and he's fun to hang out with. So, anyways, thanks for being here on the show, Jimmy. And
thanks for having me.
Of course, man. You're totally welcome.
Thanks,
if
Jimmy.
You guys like this Green Room Hangout or any of these hangouts, so anytime Wednesday night comes around, you see this stuff on Rakin's channel, my channel, hit the like button, ask questions. And if you want to join the Green Room, it's the second link down below. If you want that free guide that Rakin's talking about, first link down below in the description. Till then, we will see you next Wednesday, guys. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye.